Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. By Jackson Aurelia. Jackson Aurelia. Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Proc it Jackson Aurelia. T-Force.
Welcome to the rework of the T-Force. Now we going hard cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and cash from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game. Give it to you easy like you're Resi in a bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time. Now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier. Knock it up like Malphite planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall. Get on the chat call. Can a podcast really be all that? Of course. How do 4 guys make a Triforce?
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. Sorry if everything seems a little bit off tonight. We are pushing forward with the podcast as usual. There are 4 guys here, 3 of which are not me. DeClaude, Punch, and Shira.
Hey, you announced me last.
I did it on purpose.
I know you did.
Just like the Reddit post said.
Gotta resume the tradition.
Yes, I had forgotten that I said that when I first brought you on, that I will always introduce you last. And then at somewhere along doing 2 episodes a week, I lost that.
A lot's happened since now and then, though, so it's understandable.
Yes.
It's okay.
If you don't know what we're talking about today, I took the time to put together a history of the Trinity Force network. Somebody had asked for it yesterday.
Due to popular demand.
Due to popular demand. Yeah, you got quite a number of upvotes on our subreddit. So go to reddit.com/r/T-Force network to go view that. We started back in November of 2011, and it all really started as a joke. And now we have 3 podcasts, 4 forthcoming within the next week, and yeah, it's grown quite a bit. We're a legitimate business and everything, and everyone's kind of looking at me going, "How the hell did that happen?"
Yeah, it was a good read. There's stuff I didn't know in there.
Oh, really?
I like how detailed it was in the beginning, and then after I got on the crew part, it was like, yeah, whatever.
I can see where Adam's patience started to wane as that whole process.
Well, but he said it's a work in progress, so.
Yeah, I need to go back through. There was some, because I had already spent 2 hours on the post by that time, or I was like an hour and a half into it, because I had to go back to the old episodes and listen to intros and read, and I had to do a lot of digging, because I knew the timeline in my head pretty much, but I'm glad I got to talk to Dom, because I was trying to figure out, like, when did I pick up Oz LOL? When did I pick up, when did I start the LCS rundown? Okay, February. Did I do the Oz LOL after? Yeah, I did, but I know, Lee came on, like, that type of stuff. Like, I'm trying to figure out when I talk to these people. And what was most fun for me is when figuring out when everybody, well, except for Punch, because I know Punch came out in October. That one was easy, because I remember talking to you at Worlds about it. But trying to figure out where, like, DeClaude first came onto the show, because most people that's not Shiro Jaden came on as, like, a guest, and then they came on later as, like, a full-time host.
Yep, I remember that episode. I was in the state of mind of, as a new podcaster, I didn't want to interrupt people. Mm-hmm. So I would never say anything unless.
And now you interrupt people too much.
Shut up.
No,
Trying to make a point here.
You have to interrupt, though, in a podcast, because that's how you keep the conversation flowing.
Yes.
It's also how you get a point in.
Yep. Otherwise, it's too linear and structured, and it's boring.
Right. We're gonna kind of we're gonna get into lead discussion here in a second, guys. But we're kind of having fun talking about the history of the network, because I do want to point out that when DeClaude first came on, that I was frustrated with him, but I wasn't frustrated with him because he wasn't knowledgeable, but it was because he wouldn't interrupt people and he wouldn't talk. And so I had 6 people on the show with one guy who just wouldn't say a thing. And I'm like, what is the point of having DeClaude on my show if he's not going to say a fucking word?
Yep.
And then you unleashed a monster.
It is so.
Yep. And now you wish you would shut up.
It's just only get worse too. This guy just blah blah. Probably listens to Syndra try to talk. He's like, so he wants to talk back at her.
Oh yeah, you've created a monster. Now I'm rude. I'm a douchebag, and it's entertaining.
Everyone wins.
Everybody wins. Yeah, so guys, go check that out. That is over at our subreddit, T-Force Network. There's a very long post. I'm going to add more to it and kind of talk a little bit more about it and really go into detail with some of the Sotir stuff and the Hornet stuff. Because, like I said, around like 2013, you could tell my interest started to wane in putting the post together, because it was like, Punch joined! And that's it.
Sure did. Here's a link to the episode.
Yeah, right.
You did that much. I mean, there you go.
And if you really want like a full...
He was kind of a guest. Remember episode 100 when he had the sing-off?
Yeah, Punch kind of came on.
Great.
Or no, that was 200.
It was 200.
Why haven't we done a Trinity Force podcast karaoke night?
I don't know.
The next time we get drunk, we'll.
That's
Dom says he might come out to Kentucky. So, well, let's move forward here, guys. If you want to, if you guys want to support the podcast, now that you know we are a network, we are a we are a business that is running on you guys. We run on hugs and kisses and beer and money, and we need the money.
We got enough of the other stuff.
Yeah, I get plenty of that for my dog. It's not a big deal.
You get beer from your dog? That sounds disgusting.
Well, I mean, she's really good at making hair of the dog, so.
Oh, so you're hungover a lot.
Yeah, right. So if you guys would like to help us out, this isn't me begging for money. This is me saying that we have enough to continue pushing forward, but it's always nice to be able to afford other new things, like a new desk for days, which is a pseudo joke. I might actually buy her a standing desk just so the cat can't jump up on it anymore. But if you guys would like to help us out, go ahead.
I think you'd be surprised at how high cats can jump.
I know, right? And how I think she's
That's
pretty
not gonna
tiny
do anything.
too.
There was like a post somewhere a few weeks ago or something about how if house cats were the size of big cats, that they physically would be able to jump like twice as high as big cats do, and they'd just completely destroy people.
Oh my god!
Be
So-
great.
So they would be the dominant species?
Yeah,
Is what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Well,
Fascinating.
if you would like to donate, trinityforcepodcast.com/donate. You can go ahead and toss in any amount in there. Just give us a little note, too. We actually have a number of donations that have come in over the last 2 weeks. I kind of pile them up a little bit and then read them all at one time. So if you'd like to hear your name read on air as well, you can donate for that. So first and foremost, we had Cargan, who donated $15. He says, thanks for all that you guys do. Having a few podcasts to listen to throughout the week really helps working overnight. Cargan.
We love you,
Thanks,
Cargan.
Cargan.
Cargan
We all
is
love you.
Yes, Cargan is our Battle Arena shoutcaster, so he is, just giving back.
And he's been streaming a lot, too. Past
Appreciate
couple
that.
days.
Yeah,
He
Cargan
talks a lot when he streams. He explains what he's doing. I like streamers that do that.
and he's really funny too. That
Yes.
always makes he just makes they make jokes and he's having fun. So other than that, Albert donated $20 with no note. Thank you so much, Albert, for your
Thanks,
$20
Albert.
donation.
Thank you, Albert.
Thank you.
Nautical107 donated $10. He says, hey, T-Force, relatively new listener here. Thanks for the entertaining podcast that helped me stay sane on my long delivery routes, and thanks for helping me find a way to get paid to learn about League. Excited for the start of 4 Wards. Here's $10 to buy Punch real headphones.
I got real headphones on the way. Don't
Do you
worry.
really?
They should have
Oh.
been here today, but I don't know where they're at.
Did you get
Kinda
the $20 deal, the $24 deal, the ones that
Yeah,
were
they're
pitched?
even larger than these. No, they're earbuds.
Oh, okay. On the way, you didn't just go to Walmart and Target or whatever right down the street and buy it?
No, why would I do that when I can just log on to Amazon?
Ryan donated $15. He told us we were saying, that's right. He told us we were saying Jin's name wrong, and
Xin Chao.
It turns out it's Chin Chao. I can say it.
Xin Chao.
There,
Xin
I couldn't
Zhou.
say it. No, it wasn't Joe. Remember, he was
Xin
wrong.
Chao.
It's Joe to me.
But he wrote it in, told us we were saying it wrong. And he said another $5, and then it was like, yeah, sorry, I read his name incorrectly. So here's $5 more for my mistake.
It's okay. I think at this point, with how many people have probably mispronounced his name over the course of wherever, and considering that fucking Runeterra in League of Legends isn't a real place, call him whatever the hell you want.
Right, his name is Joe.
So we have Frank the Tank and Joe and Smite'ems. We need a T-Force dictionary.
Why not?
Somebody get on that. Corey donated $10. Dear Trinity Force Podcast, thank you for the amazing podcast. I used to be one of those players you commonly refer to. In Season 4, I was an angry player stuck in Bronze 5 who refused to change my own play, only blaming others and not trying to improve myself. Insisting I deserved better. Since listening to your podcast, I have changed my ways for the better. Since the new season has started, I've aced 6 promotions from my initial placement in Bronze 4 in just 2 weeks using the things I learned from your podcast. I continue to grind the ladder, and I'll keep you updated with more donations. Thanks again, and keep up with the puns on Twitter, DeClaude.
That's
Will
like
do.
the greatest thing I've heard read in a while. Just the fact that, like, out of all the feeling like a little wishy-washy, like, don't get me wrong, I completely stand by what we said, but like some people took advice pretty hard, and then every time we get something like this, it's like, man, I feel extremely validated in taking the route that we went and discussing this, what I'm going to phrase an issue, because it is an issue amongst certain players. But yeah, thanks, man. I'm glad our advice could help you out, and keep at it.
Yes, thank you very much.
That's right. And what's this? Scare 'em, I think. Donated $10. He says, love the podcast. Beware of Top Got coming soon to Battle Arena.
Uh-oh.
Then Top Got just got buffed, so I'm excited for this if it ever
Somebody
makes it.
played the Jaws music in the background.
I played it Monday night. We didn't stream it, I don't think, did we?
No.
No. I played him Monday night with these guys.
Yeah, I left you alone and you did fine.
Yeah, he's good.
Bradley donated, and then finally, Bradley donated $50. So thank you very much, Bradley, for your donation.
Bradley.
Thanks,
Sweet.
Bradley.
Thank you.
And
What kind of
that's
name
it.
is Bradley?
It's a pretty damn good name, if you ask me. Probably the best name.
Other than that, if you guys want to know about Battle Arena Smackdown Edition, I know this is kind of going long-winded. That's happening. The emails have been sent out. We're sending out our final guides. Excuse me. Okay, the problem with bottle conditioned beer is there's a lot of yeast in it, and the yeast makes you burpy. So I probably shouldn't. I've learned after tonight not to drink bottle conditioned beer on the podcast.
Are you sure it's not the dog hair?
No, there's no dog hair. This isn't homebrew. This is something I don't know. I picked up. Anyway, Battle Arena Smackdown, that's happening March 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Twitch TV T-Force Podcast. We have everybody else signed up. Everyone's ready. If you got the emails, you know what you got to do. If you are a shoutcaster or you are a spectator or a player, your instructions are coming tomorrow, which means you already have them if you're listening to this podcast. So yay, yes, that's happening again. That's March 28th. Other than that, don't forget to vote for us in the podcast awards and be on the lookout for a new Teespring shirt. We have sold, as of today, we have sold 49 T-shirts out of 50.
One more.
Thank you to everybody who purchased this shirt. It's awesome, and we love you.
Cool.
Yes, and we'll have, and a couple of us, I know I bought a T-shirt. DeClaude's got one coming. Did you guys buy a T-shirt?
I have not.
You could be number 50.
I might get 50 right now.
You have 2 hours and 44 minutes left to go buy a
Bradley.
T-shirt.
I will say that purple is freaking awesome.
Yes, but we have another T-shirt coming.
Royal.
We've already we've kind of teased this. It'll be here in the next couple of weeks. We're gonna give you guys a couple of weeks, kind of get some money saved up again. It'll be another $20 T-shirt, and it has more so to do with the LCS rundown. So, with all that said, we're moving forward. That's your 15 minutes of fun talking, and now we're gonna get into League of Legends discussion as we always promise. So, as you guys can probably see from the title, it's a win rate and why you are wrong, because Chira sent out an article. This where are we going to hold up here from goldpretend.com.
Yeah, article that was circulating Reddit from Gold Pretend. Really good article.
Yep.
Oh,
Came out a few days ago on the 15th.
Yes.
So it's still relatively new.
I'll link it in chat.
Wait,
Yes.
You should probably post this as well with the show. Give them a little love.
I'll put it on the subreddit. So what it is it's called How Win Rate Lies to You. And if you read through the article, the TLDR of it is, while win rate is a good way to measure if a champion is good or not, you also have to take more into account than just the overall win rate of the champion, because different levels of players play champions differently, and different champions are more powerful at different tiers. So he uses Annie, for example, and actually goes later into talk about a Mumu, where let me see if I can find the actual numbers here. I think a Mumu is the better one to talk about, because a Mumu down in bronze has a 52% win rate or 55%
54.4% win rate.
Right.
I'm trying to find it here in the article. I had it up in front of me. There it is. And then he also talked about how in bronze level games, Shaco wins 50% of the time, but in diamond it's 54%. But it's because they understand how to use his mechanics and they understand map pressure and understand what they're doing with that champion. So that's kind of like the brief overview. But I wanted to talk about what we have the one right now. So if we go to op.gg and we look at the top, the winningest champions, you'll see that Katarina is up there. And I believe she's in top 5 at the moment. Am I right?
Hold on.
Yeah, I am. No, she just dropped out. She's 6. It's Sejuani, Blitzcrank, Amumu, Sion, Heimerdinger. That'll lead you to believe that Sejuani at 57% win rate is super powerful right now. Blitzcrank at 55 is just a god tier support, and then you have Amumu right under it. But as you start clicking through those, you'll see at the different rankings, their win rates change quite a bit, and it's based on how the champion is being played and who's playing the champion. Everybody's kind of reading here. Go ahead.
And the comps, like in this article, it's great because he graphs it out in a bar graph. The Mumu win rate, you just see the decline in the percentages. It's like a straight angle down. Bronze 54.4 all the way down to diamond 46.5. I guess because if you know how to play against him, it's harder to play against him in the lower tiers. He comes in your team, he stuns you up, and there's not much. People don't know how to deal with that, how to split push against it, etc. So
I think we need to bring up like why it's important to note the winning percentage at each tier, as opposed to just the winning percentage at the highest tier.
And
Because
this
what I was
is
trying to move into to have
yeah,
somebody else talk about
and this is
Final
also
Fantasy
super
forever.
important when it comes to like different sites give out different win rates based on what data they're using. So like I'm a big fan of champion.gg, but their win rates are all plat or higher games. So like anybody in bronze or silver or low gold or even high gold that wants to go and look at that doesn't really apply that much to you if you're going to take that as gospel, because it's not relative to the level that you're actually playing at.
I guess you also need to take this in account. Is champion.gg, they define platinum as 7 players or more in a game are platinum, so that's a platinum level game.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So it could be high gold.
You
Or
could
low
have
diamond.
you could yes, it could be well because what
MMR.
the way he explains it in the article and the way this and it makes sense coming from a statistic standpoint is that the matchmaking system tries to force you to get a 50% win rate, but when you see challenger players have a very high win rate on a champion, it's because they are the top 200 players in the game, which statistically means or should theoretically mean they're on another level than masters and diamond players. But sometimes the matchmaking system can't find other master players to match you with during that time, so you get dumped in with some diamonds and, you know, the diamonds and challenger and whatever level player that is. So that and the numbers can potentially get skewed there because technically the challenger level player, that master tier player, should be at a higher rating than the tier below or a higher skill level than the tier below them and should be winning the game anyway. That
Completely makes sense if you just harken back to the days when people that were in high diamond in season 2, right when streaming started to get popular for this game, there'd be like 45-minute waits for pro players who were trying to get into a solo queue game. Yep. So,
and this article brings up an interesting point with comparing champions' win percentage with their overall win percentage in a certain tier. Because as you mentioned, challenger players win on average about 55.3% of their games, masters at 53.1%. So they win the majority of their games. So if you see the example that you shared with Graves in challenger has a winning percentage of 53%, which is above average, so that should be good. But when you consider challenger players win 55% by average, then Graves' winning percentage actually isn't very good.
Good point. When you look at it like that, it's lower than their average win rate in general on all champions.
And diamonds, so masters at 53.1%, players win on average. Diamonds at 51, and then platinum, gold, and silver are all in the 50s.
They even out, yeah.
Yeah, and then bronze is slightly below 50 at 48.7%. So if you're looking at win percentages for champions in bronze, anything above 50% is actually pretty good because on average, people are winning 49% of the time.
So it's a safe pick to try to pick up and learn.
Yeah, it's actually funny if you start going through, like I know PGG, what I'm using. For example, if you click on the league, Hecarim doesn't make it into top 5 until you hit diamond, and then he's and
it shoots through
a
the roof.
56% win rate.
Yep.
Shoots about 10% or 5% jump. Aatrox is even number 2 in diamond right now at 56.7%.
How does that happen?
Wow, I haven't seen an Aatrox in a long time.
But you go to Challenger, Wukong as of today. But see, this is why this is kind of bad because it only has 5 games played. But in 5 games played in Challenger, Wukong is 80% win rate.
Well,
yeah, I mean that's a problem with the higher winning or the higher tiers. Like the Aatrox high winning percentage. Well, there's probably only a handful of people that are playing Aatrox, and they're all really good at them. So there you go, skew the win percentage that way.
As soon as someone loses a game, bam, there goes that win percentage.
Yes. We brought up champion.gg, and I like that site too. I like it a lot.
I think it's really polished since they just launched it. I really like it.
They've got a lot of nifty graphs here. It looks cool. It looks like I'm staring at some really good shit here. Lots of info. But particularly I wanted to talk about the win rate percentage by game length, which I always find pretty interesting because it's just another factor that factors into a champion's win percentage is that change over the course of a game. And I think Caitlyn in particular, if you look at her win rate percentage by game length, it just tells the whole story of Caitlyn, where her early game is strong, and from the 20 to about 25-minute mark, she's got her highest win rate.
She's
and
got
then
a
that
timer
dips down
on
in the mid game and comes back up in the late game, which is exactly how Caitlyn works. But another thing you have to pay attention to when you're looking at this site is the actual y-axis, because although it looks like Caitlyn's win percentage dips way down, it's only like maybe 1% because the y-axis only goes from 48 to 50%.
That's good.
So it's really not that big of a variation. But it's cool to look at, and some champions have higher variations. You just have to, make note of the actual y-axis and.
I guess what we're trying to tell you is much like
information.
You just stole. Sorry that I interrupted you, but you stole the words right out of my mouth. There is you just got to pay attention to the information you're looking at and why. And it's something that we've been trying to preach here on the Trinity Force podcast when we read you patch notes. Is you need to have an understanding of why it's changing and in what context it is changing.
Know what the sources are.
And that's kind of the same thing with win rate. So let's talk about Annie mid and support. So statistically, as of this article being written, Annie had a win rate of 53.2%, which leads you to believe that Annie is a very good pick in all tiers, assuming you're going off a base, you're not looking at anything else. But once you start breaking that down based on jungle, bottom, mid, top, and overall. Mid lane Annie actually outperforms support Annie. Mid lane Annie has a 55.9% win rate, while support Annie is only 48.4%.
So keep this in mind. Jungle Annie has a higher win rate than support Annie.
Yeah, 52.9.
Makes no sense.
With only 1.3% pick, though.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why.
So there's that.
Yeah, that shocked the hell out of me. I thought support Annie would actually have a much higher win percentage. And of the two roles, I thought support probably had more impact, as far as Annie had more impact on the game. So I felt like she'd be more successful, but that is not the case, according to this data.
Yeah, they're playing her out of mid.
Yes, and I've noticed that she's really you put some AP on that Q of hers, and she's chunking you for 800 damage.
Yeah,
and she's still trading you with that, or just like we discussed a few episodes ago about her top. Being in top lane, same applies for mid.
Mm-hmm. You're trading with autos, and you're able to stay then. You're able to stay in lane forever. You don't have to back when other champions have to back. You're able to trade, and
it's easy, solid, easy, safe pick.
Right. But keeping that in mind, that doesn't mean that she's bad at 48.4% win rate out of support. It just means she's harder to play, and there is some finesse to playing support. It's the same thing when you look at Urgot or Azir being down in the dumps at 34 or 40% win rate or lower. It doesn't necessarily mean they're terrible. It just means that the people that are playing them are doing so incorrectly, I guess is the way to put it. Because I'll go back to the Rengar that we talked about how many episodes ago where he was probably dumped down in the 40% win rates, and we were calling him to be really good. It's because players need to adjust how they're playing those champions and the roles they're playing them in.
And again, and we're probably going to make this point over and over again on this episode, this particular set of information is only by lane, and there are so many different ways to break up this win percentage. Like we said, by tier, by what point in the game you're at. Yeah, and by meta too, which it also talks about later.
Also, what really skews win rates, I've noticed, or gives them a surge, either up or down, is when there's a change in the patch about that champion. Mm-hmm. Usually the bigger changes, obviously, because then all of a sudden everyone starts playing them.
Like the Veigar?
So once you have more data to analyze, it should get more accurate when you have more people playing them. But when you have a different group of people playing them at completely different skill levels, just because they saw it on the patch notes, all your results are going to get skewed for a little bit until things plateau, level out.
I'd like to bring up Vi. Like Vi, her win rate dropped a pretty decent chunk too. But is that because the champion nerfs were that big, or is it because a ton of people stopped playing Vi that are paying attention to what's going on, and players that weren't paying attention and still were deciding to play Vi weren't catching up with the way that the game was updating, so that might skew it as well. Like, there's so many factors that go into win rates, and I would say that win rates right off the bat when a patch is released aren't exactly all that accurate too until the dust settles.
You need to give win rates a month before you're able to accurately, to try to figure out what is wrong with the champion.
Pseudo accurately, and even then, win rates, they're a tool for you to use when making a decision, but ultimately what you should be concentrating on is your ability to play that champion at your level that you're playing at, obviously, because you're not playing at any other level when solo queue ranks you and matches you with other people. Just learn how to play your champion properly.
So
listen to the other episodes, and then of course Forwards will give you some nice information on new champions.
So fun fact, Braum is sitting at exactly 50% win rate right now. Wow, Soraka's at 50.01.
I love Braum.
That's so funny. But I do want to point out that these champions, when you see these champions that have like some people would scream, oh, Vi is done, Vi is gone, but she's sitting at overall a 50.37% win rate. Any champion that sits at 50% win rate is a good champion.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well for themselves if they're winning games.
Yeah, if you're winning games half of the time, that means you're a good champion. You're not a bad champion. You're not an overpowered champion. You're good.
Right. You're tweaked to where Riot wants you for the most part.
But when you look at like Sejanui at 57.71% win rate, there's definitely something going on there and something that needs to be looked at because no champion.
What's her win rate in Diamond?
She's
57. It's really everywhere.
Yeah,
and she's being
higher,
picked in the
it's
LCS. I've noticed she's starting to creep into the LCS, but after this patch, once they start playing on this patch, I want to see if she's pick or ban. I've started banning her myself when I don't intend on playing her.
Well, like we mentioned with Vi, I think whenever there's a change to a champion, especially if a negative one, it probably scares all that we're actually good with that champion, and they're like, "Well, screw it, I'm just gonna go to my second pick now." And
good point.
Now all the people that were having success with that champion have stopped playing them.
Then you have people like me. You have assholes like me who are like, "Oh, they changed Pantheon. I don't care. Pick or ban. I'm picking."
Excellent. Now less people would play him, and I can play him more.
Yeah, exactly. And I can make him good again.
And my whole team can cry at me.
But there's also something to be said about the meta changes because stuff that's like just sitting there simmering below the surface is actually really good that people think isn't good. So like a slight change will happen and somebody nobody's seen in forever, somebody starts picking up again. Like look at Hecarim. Where the hell did he come out where now he's one of the better top lane picks? you know, like
some mana changes and that was about it.
Well, a couple tweaks and then the meta changes and the junglers change and whatnot, but we're probably going to stop seeing less Hecarim out of the top lane. Like I said before, I think we're going to start seeing Mundo come back in here in the top lane, and we're going to start, especially out of the jungle. I agree with
you and I hate it.
I'm already seeing him come back.
With the success of Sinner, Hulk, and tanky junglers making an impact because their win rates are pretty high right now, I'm surprised people aren't trying to pick up somebody. And I told Adam this earlier. Somebody like Maokai, who originally started out of the jungle, and since his W range is a little nerfed, but I don't know if any of you remember in Season 3 when Maokai was a nightmare jungler to play against, because if he got to you in lane and your laner had any form of anything that could slow or whatever, and Maokai got to you, you were probably dead. So
Maokai is not a bad jungler by any means right now. He's got a pretty, I won't say rough first clear. It's kind of a little mana intensive, and
he's still good out of the top.
But he's still really good. It's one of those. He's like a flex pick. You could definitely play him on the jungle.
You could play him either,
but you need a team that can carry if you're playing with him. And somebody like Sejanui can carry themselves because they're doing percentage of life damage.
Well, that and they have that that mechanic that allows them to completely be like, hey, team, engage right now.
Right.
You know, so.
Which is better at the lower tiers too, because when their communication or everyone's doing their own thing.
I would say it's
throwing that ult.
It's better at the lower tiers because it can force people to get on your page because they see, oh, giant explosion, let's go blow shit up. The city's burning down, let's throw more fire on it.
I want to touch on Aatrox again because I'm very intrigued that you were mentioning that his win rate was so high.
It's only Diamond that he is. And it's only 194 games that were played today. And again, this is
why higher.
PGG.
Okay. But I haven't seen him in a long time where I'm at in the low plat. So have you seen him in mid plat?
I haven't seen him.
Anyone in the Diamond seen him more? I know we've seen him in Europe all the time.
It just depends, I guess, where you pull him up. Let's see here. According to Champion GG, though, he's at an average of 42.7%, 42.76%. So, like I said, OPGG is only for that day. It doesn't do an average. It's how many games were played. So,
but he's again touching on the tanky junglers being buffed. Maybe we're going to see more of the carries come out of the top lane or the high damage, less tanky.
What I think we're going to start seeing now that we're seeing a lot of junglers, I guess this can move into it, is that I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Kog'Maw come out of the bottom lane again as like a tank buster.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Trundle start coming back into the top lane, especially with that increase of range with his 1400 on his passive and the flat rating at W. Right, the flat.
Speaking of tank busters, I've been having a lot of woes playing against top tanks nonstop. Maokai, Sion, Nasus. It's like you, Pwn. I'm sick of it. Like you used to cry about it before, like, oh man, Tank's top lane are so boring. I'm like, yeah, whatever, top laner. I'm gonna go bot lane and do my ADC shit. But yeah,
I'll
I feel
see
you
in
now.
30 minutes.
So what I've been
in
trying to
comparison.
pick up, and what I actually got to play finally last night was Fizz, who is oftentimes banned, and that is for a damn good reason because he is a hell of a tank buster. Not only that, he doesn't care if that's the thing. He doesn't care if you're a tank. He'll just kill you anyways.
Because
And so
he's doing max life damage and percentage of life damage with
Right,
his Blade
that's
of the Ruin
right.
King.
With Blade of the Ruin King and Triforce, I played against a Maokai last night, and he was my bitch.
He
And it
was
felt
my
great.
bitch.
Yeah, so I mean, it's something I wanted to pick up more, especially since I didn't see any changes for him on the horizon. I felt like he'd be a great tank buster, and maybe Aatrox is in the same boat. I'm interested in looking into that too. Particularly, I would like to see what are like the most common picked champions, specifically top lane champions in that tier, so I can see what Aatrox is probably playing against and see what he's having success, and thereby, derive what he's having success against.
See, the problem with this is like Champion GG lists him as a jungler, and they only show up
Okay.
and show everything
Oh.
as a jungler. That's kind of like why
Well,
I
that's
look
an
at more than
outmake.
one website.
There goes that that theory I had.
Yeah.
It would have been nice. But yeah, Fizz top lane, I'm liking that. Tank buster, he's good.
I was trying to see if there was a way for me to game stats by champion. I can't really pull it around.
Wait,
Obviously,
what are you trying to look at?
I was trying to see if OPGG won't let me click on the champion and see what he's playing against most of the time. I have to go based on there. And then obviously, I'm assuming that if
stats.
Aatrox is being picked and he's winning, he's going against a Hecarim. So he has some way to.
Aatrox is beating out right now in top at least Maokai, Cho'Gath, Gnar, Vladimir, and Rumble.
See, I don't even. Cho'Gath's a jungler mid right now. Cho'Gath's not even a top laner.
I see him equally as good.
He's still gaining popularity, so overall, Aatrox would probably be good to pick into him.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you're looking for a champion to play out of mid, Cho'Gath's the way to go right now because Cho'Gath counters LeBlanc, and LeBlanc is heavily played because he can just push the wave. It becomes so big that LeBlanc can't pop you. And then as she's running away, you place your Q or your W properly.
Especially
and she's
now
done.
that you can ult minions in lane and not care because the cooldown goes down like crazy. Like,
Yep.
don't even feel bad eating minions ever.
Oh, you should be encouraged to. Don't
just-
sit on your feast if you don't have
Yeah,
6 stacks.
Just eat the closest
There's no
thing
reason.
to you. Ally, jungle minion, like one of the little raptors, not even the big one. Fuck it. It's all good.
Punches woes about the top, talking how boring it is and how they just can't be taken down. That's the frustration when you're leaning against Cho'Gath in the mid lane. It's like, okay, he's sustaining. I'm not doing anything. I'm running out of mana trying to trade with this guy, and he's just sitting here pushing, going la di da di da. So he's definitely a good choice, good safe choice.
Especially if he can get a blue buff and then actually like silence every time he wants to, or knock you up anytime he wants to.
Cinderhulk Cho'Gath's the way to go right now at the jungle too. I mean, I played it once, but I've also listened to the record and heard him, talk about it a couple times. And that guy he loses no life once you put a couple points into E. And so you always, it's like you have a permanent blue buff as long as you're killing minions. Your mana's being stacked right back up, and then you're gaining extra life off your passive because, like I said, you can eat a minion, walk to lane, and then your R's pretty much back off a cooldown because it's a 30-second cooldown at that point. And so you're gaining extra life, which stacks on Cinderhulk. I think you gain like 400 extra life at max stacks with the Cinderhulk, if I remember correctly. It's a lot of life. What is this like a fizz? Like, I love this extra life. Thanks for building it.
That's pretty damn good to get 400 extra life on an item.
Yeah, from one item buy,
Yeah, right.
it's already giving you some life.
Yeah, but Fizz wouldn't care, if you're wondering.
Or what about Aurelia? True damage.
True damage is
I
nice.
usually pick her into
Yeah,
tanky tops.
Aurelia's being played quite a bit because of the true damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I played a lot of Aurelia too. I just don't have as much success. I feel like I have to make plays elsewhere. I'm forced to try and snowball other lanes through teleport or roaming. And if I'm playing against someone like Scion, who just pushes me to my tower all day, I don't really have a lot of opportunities to do that.
But you're banking on the late game.
Yep,
So I want.
I think she has more of a mid game power spike than a late game.
it is the mid. It's the.
I think
the
she's still
T4
strong late
speed up.
game, but she's not like
T4
she's not like
I
a
was
Jax.
actually about to bring up the mid game power spike because I think that's something that people need to stop playing for because I don't think it exists anymore. I don't think there's such thing as a mid game power
Really?
spike in the current meta. I mean, there is. Obviously, you can use it and you can force, but it requires a specific team comp or a specific style of play to make that mid game power spike work. And I'm gonna go back to IEM. If you haven't watched IEM, I can't say it. Where the hell was it at?
I have no idea.
Katowice.
Katowice. Katowice. Okay, so if you didn't watch I Am Katowice, Corky went 2-9 over the weekend, and he's been heralded as the guy who has that mid game power spike when he gets to Trinity Force. He's the dude who pushes it hard and allows you to take objectives. And as I was telling Chiro the other day, I think since towers are harder to take down because they have more life. Since there's the extra shields on the towers, then there's the global gold for taking like inhibitor turrets has been lowered, and the fact that you no longer get gold when you take dragon. All of these things ruin the mid-game power spike. So you can't use it to take down those objectives to gain more gold to push your spike further and get further ahead and use that spike to get further ahead of the enemy. So Corky is no longer as good as he was previously was.
So by that, do you mean that you think games are lasting longer in general?
Yes.
Okay, I can see that.
So, like I said, the power spike, unless you know how to use it or unless you know how to really capitalize on it as a team, the power spike is becoming less and less relevant.
Yeah, it's definitely harder. I mean, much harder to win straight out mid game. Like you said, you have to gain a huge advantage during that point so you can win in the late mid game, early late game. And if it gets a super late game, then your mid game power spike doesn't matter at that point.
That's also amplified by the fact that everybody is trying to get dragons every time without thinking of when they want to end the game or not. Like, how many times have you been able to push an inhibitor turret and take an inhib and people are like, nope, got a dragon instead. It's way more important.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Next thing you know, that's like the second dragon, and it's by far the least important thing.
Right, and taking a dragon just prolongs the game. If you take a tower, that can speed up your victory.
Well, it's global gold.
Your victory. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, global gold and more map pressure. And it's one step closer to taking out the ultimate objective. Whereas a dragon is you're just banking off of those stats helping you late game.
And I don't even notice those stats. I mean, the only time I notice the stats is the tower push and stat, to be honest with you. The extra 6% AD and AP, you have no idea that you have it. Or
I noticed the movement speed. But
oh yeah, of course.
That's basically it.
I hate the stress of like you're saying you used to play for the mid game, and yeah, you're absolutely correct in that it's not as effective. But I hate those champions that only have a mid game and then they start falling off. Mm-hmm. That's when it gets scary because you have a timer. It's stressful. It's looming over your head like, oh crap, we're not winning yet.
For sure,
it puts the pressure on, and then you get a little reckless and you make some poor decisions.
That's how I feel with Hecarim. I feel like Hecarim falls off really hard late game. Maybe I'm just wrong because I'm more inexperienced with him, but the few times I've played him, I feel really strong early and mid, and then late game, I kind of feel like it's a Pantheon effect where I just don't really do much of anything. Besides, maybe I can get a good ult off. If I'm part of a wombo combo, that would work. But otherwise, if I'm just diving the back lines by myself, then I don't really do much.
It's you're right that he does fall off. He doesn't fall off super hard, but it does take him longer to kill something because the only damaging spell he has is his Q and auto attacks. And he's a better split pusher and skirmisher than he is a team fighter. Unless you are part of a comp that can use that ultimate,
right.
correctly. So, and that he's a bully out of top lane. That's what he is. But I think thanks to tank junglers, the game really does get prolonged because everybody's going to want to wait till those tank junglers get 2 items or 3 items. And speaking of tank junglers, because we didn't bring this up last podcast about Righteous Glory, if you're not building Righteous Glory as a tank right now that can use mana, you need to.
Reevaluate your decisions in life.
That's what I was looking for. You need to reevaluate what you're buying and why you're buying it because, it builds out of a Catalyst. Yeah, Catalyst kind of sucks out of the jungle because it doesn't really help you all that much. I mean, gaining extra life and stuff's not a bad thing, but if you can just build it straight out and get that Righteous Glory and then use that to engage team fights in the mid to late game.
Use that to make your mid game matter.
Yeah, you use it to make your mid game better.
It's a good jungle item, but it's so good it's not jungle specific.
No.
I see it every game now. People that I play with start asking, hey, top lane, are you going to build this? Or should I build this? And if nobody's building it, the support builds it.
It's going back
I was playing with Urtai, and I'm pretty sure he was Annie, and he built Righteous Glory.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how fucking good it is.
That's like Season 3, Season 3, Season 4? Aegis after they reworked it, and it was amazing. And it basically, people were like, all right, top and mid, or top and jungle, which one of you is buying it? And people were like, both of us, screw it, we're both going to get it.
Oh, when it had armor and then more? Yeah.
Oops.
That's a good question. Is there a When you use Righteous Glory, does that put a debuff on your allies so they can't be affected by it again? I would assume so, because that's what they normally do, but I don't know for certain.
Next thing you know, you're diving turrets forever with no consequences.
Because then you could have to.
Yeah.
Like maybe you couldn't stack it. You just wait till the one
I haven't
ends.
tested it.
Wait till one ends. Use the other one.
I'm sure you could.
You shouldn't need it, but
Probably not. But
well, you have to.
It's in thought.
You can only use it to engage. You can't use it to run away. It only works when you're running at a champion.
What you do is you have
wait for
one
support
person
Aurelius.
pop it so that you can rush that first mid turret, and then you have the second person pop it near the secondary mid turret, so you get both turrets not doing shit.
And then your support has the ancient coin to disengage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
right.
you go.
When stuff goes really, really poorly because you made a really bad decision.
And then you have Sivir.
And when you do use it to run away, I did try that once just because I was desperate and I was about to die. You do get a small burst of speed for a little bit. I mean,
Because
it
you're
depends
facing
on
them
where
while
the
you're
enemy's
turning around.
positioned. But I mean, if I just turned around and booked it and popped it just to see what would happen, and I got maybe a second or it was probably just like a second speed boost. So there's a little bit there.
And I will say, going back to the Volibear talk from last episode, if you get an item like that on somebody like Volibear who does have a mobility issue, helps band-aid that engage mobility issue a bit. So items like that synergize really well with the champion like that's kit.
Right. Yeah, that will. It's one of those things. You know what's funny is I had a conversation with a guy on the subreddit because he was building Frozen Mallet on Volibear, and he said, I don't see why it's bad. Explain to me why it's bad. And I said, because you don't want to make yourself better at what you already do, what you're already good at, and that's sticking to a target. Between your E, having a slow, and your Q flipping somebody, they shouldn't really move from you. And if you flip somebody back, they should be stopped by the rest of your team, right? So you don't want to build Frozen Mallet. It's pretty much what it is. But that line of thought, whenever I type that line of thought, I'm always afraid someone's going to call me out on like Randuin's or something similar. But you have to kind of take in the whole picture where Randuin's also gives you a passive that slows attack speed when they're attacking you, so that makes it more useful. And then Righteous Glory allows you to engage even more quickly than you were before, and so
engage onto turrets with no consequences for a brief period of time.
And then it has the slow after the fact, so that's why those items are so good, because there's more than just the passive. There's like two passives, or there's like a active and then a passive with these items. That's what makes them better than, say, Frozen Mallet, for example.
Which doesn't really give you anything besides a lot of health. And there are better items that give you a ton of health, like Righteous Glory.
Like Righteous Glory!
If Frozen Mallet gave you more attack damage, I think that would fix it.
Then it'd be more expensive. That's the problem with it.
Its build path was fixed a little bit with the belt change.
Right.
Which makes it a little bit easier. But if it did a little bit more damage, I would probably pick it up. But champions who would use it would want more damage out of that item, or some kind of resistances, which it doesn't have. So
I think it's Optimus Tom that brings up buying Frozen Mallet as an ADC as your defensive item. And if it did have more attack damage, I would definitely consider that. Picking that up, or instead of just getting a bunch of health and use it to kite people.
I was about to say that it kind of band-aids that thing that you get from having a bloodthirster, and that if you're hitting things, you get that extra health, except it front loads that health and you don't even need to build up to it. But the difference is lifesteal, so lifesteal trumps out later anyway.
Still need lifesteal.
And the damage. The damage is just
the
way
damage
better.
is much higher.
Right. Well, with all that discussion, we have been sitting on some listener questions for a number of weeks, and I actually have a lot of listener questions I haven't added to this document. It's like, to give you an example, Gamma wrote in a while ago asking about Ashe and Youmoo's Ghost Blade on it. Oh, shoot, I have a bubbler. My beard.
Uh-oh.
I have a bubbler. I have a bubbler guy.
Guys, I can't move and I can't talk. It's dripping into my hand. What do I do?
Oh, no.
And I have my legs crossed. Hold on. Oh.
Yeah, you gotta chug it.
Man, your life is so difficult.
Wait,
Chug
wait, hold on.
You have paper towels?
Chug it. Aw, what a waste of good foam.
It's a craft beer that I made. I ain't chugging this shit.
Is that the dog hair beer?
It's probably got dog hair in it. That's probably why it's foaming up and it's overcarbed. Shit, you should see my house. Anyway, if you're writing us in and you're asking questions, they're going to be answered. They are going to get answered sometime, even if it's a couple months later. And I apologize if we don't get to it. But now we've mentioned 4 wards. I'm actually going to be sending some of your questions off to 4 wards. They have them answered on that podcast, and they will email you individually and tell you if it's been answered and what podcast it's been answered on. I did tease that earlier. 4 wards, they have their first 2 episodes recorded, and I'm throwing it up on iTunes tomorrow. So once it's approved,
nice.
By Monday I should be able to tell you guys where to go get it.
Sweet.
So they've actually taken a couple listener questions, so please continue to write it in. We're going to move into a couple listener questions here. We've got about 15 minutes left in the podcast, and I want to get through some of these. And I'm going to put Punch on the spot with this first listener question here about Youmuu's on Ashe.
Great.
Hopefully you'll be able to answer it. So Gamma writes in. He has 2 questions for us. He goes, "Hi, T-Force. Number 1, can it be explained why Youmuu's as a first item on Ashe doesn't hit as hard as I thought it would with the effective 50 AD? Seems like it's a BF sword with crit and attack speed. Why does it mop the floor with an ADC who hasn't completed the item yet? I run all 80 marks and quints, armor seals, MR glyphs. I am bronze."
All right. I've not heard of this build before. Normally I would like to play with something like this, play around with something like this, especially if it's like a thing people are doing, if it's like a new pattern, like Graves picking up Youmuu's. So I'm just going to have to kind of spitball here for Ashe. And as far as Ashe goes, the majority of her damage is going to be through her auto attacks. The flat armor penetration on Youmuu's is better suited to physical damage spells, like what Graves has, because that has heavy loaded flat damage, and you're doing the majority of that damage early game. So early game with flat penetration early is a good combination. Dog, better stop drinking that water. God damn it, dog. So anyways, Ashe doesn't have that benefit. She's got volley, but volley's not a burst spell. Volley's not her primary source of DPS. Her auto attacks are. And that becomes extremely important in the mid and late game, where you want to maximize those auto attacks. Because again, that's all you got. So to maximize your auto attacks, you want to maximize your AD, your attack speed, your crit, and your armor penetration. Youmuu's has all those stats, but only a little bit of each. It's kind of like a jack of all trades item. She doesn't. It's not a very good item for a single spell slot for an AD, because you want to maximize, at least when you get an item for a single spell slot or a single item slot, you want to maximize like one of those stats to its highest potential, right? Like you want a high amount of AD item with critical strike. That's your Infinity Edge. You want a high amount of AD with lifesteal. That's your Bloodthirster, so on. And Youmuu just doesn't really offer that for an auto attack centered marksman.
So to help Punch out here with what he's talking about, I did notice that you said that you ran flat 80 marks and quints, and right there playing Ashe, you should pretty much any 80 carry should be running attack speed quints, which is 14% attack speed, right? 9 or 14%. I think it's 9%.
Let me double check that.
But
I don't think it's that high.
It's a pretty high number, because you maximize.
Oh, you're right.
It.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It was 14%.
Okay, yeah, it's 14% attack speed with your quints.
Oh.
Most 80 carries right now, and
so I don't know this.
Punch might have somebody else to say to this, but this is my page. My page is 1 crit mark, 8 AD marks, armor seals, and then depending on the 80 carry, I change up my blues. I might get attack speed, I might get cooldown reduction, I might get magic resist. Again, if you only have one page, probably just want to run magic resist on it, and then 3 attack speed quints, because you get that 14% additional attack speed, which allows those champions that need attack speed early to be able to trade effectively, and to be able to last hit. It allows you to harass and last hit more effectively, because you can get more auto attacks off.
It improves your responsiveness too. It completes your attack faster, which means that you can attack and get out of the way of a skill shot, or you can attack and back off and win a trade that way. Or you can last a minion and then more quickly auto attack the enemy and get another trade. I mean, yeah, your attack speed is just very useful in that regard. I think the main reason that the attack speed quints came into favor was the last time they changed runes quite a bit, which was over a year ago now, where they let's see, I think they reduced the effectiveness of the lifesteal quints, which ADCs were pretty much running exclusively for that sustaining lane. Once they reduced the gold value of those, and they increased the gold value of the attack speed quints, they just started picking those up instead. And So as far as the quints go, what I do is I will run the 3 attack speed quints for auto attack focused ADs, like Caitlyn, like Ashe. I'll do it for Tristana too, just because she wants to get stacks off on her E, and late game she turns into an auto attack core. For other champions like Graves, casters like Lucian, I'll only have the 2 attack speed quints, and then a AD quint is my 3rd because I want that extra AD for the spells, the early damage.
Varus, is that what you would run?
I was actually.
He kind of gets free attack
too.
speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see either one with Varus.
Or would you go?
I think it comes to a personal preference at that point.
Okay.
I would use the 2 attack speed 1 quint or 1 AD quint.
So to sum up your analysis on this listener's question.
Well, actually, I have more
Gamma.
to this.
To
this question.
I was going to say, with the Youmuus, we're talking about attack speed and how good it is in AD carries, and Youmuus gives you that attack speed. But like you said, it's a slot that you want to concentrate on. It does too many things. It should do one thing better than 3
Jack
things.
of all trades, master of none.
It's better when you're ahead because it capitalizes on what you already have in your inventory.
So you don't get it early, get it later, kind of thing.
You can be a second item if you're really ahead.
I would get it early if I were to get Youmuu's at all.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to
flat armor penetration is best.
Yes, right. What I was going to point out here is that AD carries are going for Infinity Edge, and especially Ashe would go for Infinity Edge because it increases your passive damage. Your passive, as you are just waiting around, increases your chance to critical strike. And Infinity Edge has a 20% chance to critical strike, and he has a 50% critical strike damage modifier on it. So you're doing more damage if you can use that first auto attack when you know your passive is up. Right. But the gold cost, so at 2,700 gold you pick up Youmuu's, and at 3,800 gold you pick up Infinity Edge. Now, you could go, okay, it's an extra 1,100 gold before you get Infinity Edge, but that's 1,100 gold that you have to capitalize on when you're in lane or roaming or doing whatever you do with Youmuu's before the enemy picks up an item that is more powerful than your Youmuu's is. So if that enemy is able to survive during that small, very small time, we're talking 5 minutes, if that, of 1,100 gold, then they end winning out. And then you are now behind an item, you're behind a half an item, we'll say, because you have, again, a item that gives you a little bit of everything, but not one big good thing that helps your champion. So keep that in mind.
And even when you buy a Youmuu's, like when Graves buy Youmuu's, he still buys an Infinity Edge. It's because that is the quintessential late game item for an AD carry. It's like their highest DPS item that they can buy. So Ashe is going to be getting that eventually anyways. The sooner you get the Infinity Edge, the better off you are, really. Because then you can start supplementing it with attack speed to crit more often.
What if you're losing in lane and pretty terribly, and you just can't? You have to go back so often. You never have 50 gold on hand.
Yeah, it really depends
and
on what you can
piece
back
together and get a Youmuu's to try to bandage that.
As Ashe, I would try to get a pickaxe.
Yeah,
you just get a pickaxe and then.
The Youmuu's doesn't give you enough because you have to stun an Avarice Blade at some point, and if you can't farm because you're only able to go to lane and kind of do a little bit, does the Avarice Blade?
Yeah, is the crit worth it at that point?
Okay.
Is the crit and passive gold worth it for you? Are you getting enough out of it? You have to make that decision, and generally speaking, it's probably not.
Right.
So yeah, that sums up that, and
also the cooldown reduction that you're paying for doesn't help Ashe out a lot.
I don't even run cooldown reduction on any of my marksmen anymore. I used to.
I don't
just run attack speed now.
Yeah,
you can throw more
I used
owls.
to too. I used to for Lucian, back when I tried the 40% cooldown reduction build. But lately, he's just better off with the traditional Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, Phantom Dancer.
Yeah, for the most part, you do your combo, you trade, you're done. And
Yep.
there's really no waiting on that. That extra 4% or extra second of cooldown that you would gain back early game doesn't really give anything because you walk in, use your combo, and walk out. So we'll move on to the second part of Gamma's question here. If you are building IE and you back with a BF sword already and only have enough for either a pickaxe or a cloak, what would you get?
Pickaxe.
Pickaxe.
That's what I'd say.
Pickaxe.
Yep. A critical strike on its own. I mean, so early game, the more AD you're going to get off, the more AD you're going to get, the better off you are. For one, it helps with your last hitting, which is pretty huge early game.
Very
you want to get as
important.
much last hit as possible and build up that gold. Especially if you're not very good at last hitting, you want to stack that at AD. The critical strike just isn't really good on its own until you get, like we've said this time and time again, or at least I have, that you want items to supplement it. You want more critical strike. You want critical strike damage. You want attack speed, so you crit more often.
You want more AD to make your critical strikes hurt more. Because
Yeah, that too.
Damage.
Exactly. And once you have the pickaxe, and then you get your cloak of agility, you're gonna even hurt harder. Hurt harder.
Hurt
Hurt
more.
more.
You said it better.
I don't know about you
harder's
guys,
fine.
but I don't like RNG. Granted, I am playing with one crit rune, and I have seen it work
Yeah,
for me
what the
like
hell?
once or
I
twice.
love RNG. I love it.
But
I don't
the
run the one
best.
crit rune, but
I probably should just get rid of it. But I have it there because I don't
leave
understand.
every game to fate. Just buy all the RNG you can. Whatever. Just go.
but
but
that's
if
what it
you
is.
believe hard enough, it'll work.
One word, dodge.
Yeah, dodge. Yeah, right. You can dodge turret shots.
The
back
old
in the
days.
day.
Yep.
Yeah, but pick up the AD because the AD is flat. You always know how much damage you're going to do in a trade. Then once you understand how much damage you're going to do and how much your ability is going to do, you'll be able to trade more effectively as an AD carry, and that is something that we should probably talk about later on down the line. Is effectively trading and understanding the limitations of your champion and how to use those to further your game. Whether
That's a
we
good
all
discussion.
we all know that or not, we actually do understand the limitations of most champions. Any champion we've played for a long period of time, we understand how much damage we're going to do.
Yeah, my thing with trading is that I always have to kick myself for is I'm not really good at analyzing whether my mana bar will deplete before I can deplete their health bar with my abilities for mid, for example. So I'm always So that's something I know I need to personally work on. So that'd be a good discussion to have. I'd like to talk about that.
Yeah. So I'm not going to ask this question, and I apologize. The guy, he actually wrote in, and I don't feel bad about this because he doesn't actually listen to the show anymore, but he wrote a question about Sejanui, but I don't think it's a fair topic discussion considering Cinderhulk and Sejanui is now really popular. So I apologize, Abby and Geist, but he wanted to know about a change. He says, when I jungle lately, I've been playing Sejanui. I like to rush Juggernaut and build Set and Fire and some combination of Abyssal Scepter and Haunting Guise. Greedy, but very effective to make a good early gank. And you can land alts, da-da-da. And it seemed unrelated news. Where was it? Am I in danger of losing my pocket Sejanui strength because Riot realizes Abyssal Scepter is really strong and nerfs it? That was his question. And at that time, I don't think Abyssal Scepter was what was making Sejanui powerful even then. So removing that item doesn't change her one way or the other.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
If we walk back a patch with Juggernaut, it's because she's doing percentage of life damage with more life that she builds, and she's still doing that. So,
And that's exactly what they're addressing in the PvE right now.
Her scaling mechanic, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's honestly that's like the really short, easy answer to it. Is Abyssal Scepter wasn't making you strong; it's the health you're building which is making you strong. And Juggernaut allows you to be what allowed you to be strong, but now Cinderhulk allows you to be even stronger.
Allows
We
you to
should
be
have
strong
a-
and put out that damage.
We should have an exclusive listener question episode trying to knock these out.
I agree. I just kind of wanted to get some to the end here because I know
Well,
we have a
it's-
couple minutes
But I'm
left.
glad we got a
that's-
couple.
That's super hard to do when Riot's hard at work grinding out patches.
True.
Like it's
Riot
nothing.
needs to take a few days off.
Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
seriously,
just
Riot.
maybe pepper in a couple at the end of each show like we did here. Do like a patch
Philip-
discussion, but do better time management.
Philip
Yeah,
P.
get on that.
Riot has been very busy turning out patches.
Right.
I think that well, you know what? Normally, I'd feel bad for not giving you guys that extra 10 minutes of discussion, but just for today, because I think on Monday, assuming there is no patch, assuming there's no crazy PvE stuff, I think we're going to do a full-on, like, hour-and-a-half listener episode, question episode, where we just knock out as many as we can. I say hour and a half. It'll probably be like an hour and 10 minutes, but still, we're going to try to knock out as many as we can. I'm going to try to make up for the lack of an episode or the lack of that we put up here today. So there's only 6 days left, by the way. By the time you get this podcast, there'll be 3 or 4 days left. Podcastawards.com. Please go vote for us. Send in your email to
please, every day.
contest@trinityforcepodcast.com, letting us know you voted. As of right now, I think there's like 100 votes in there of people who've been voting every day. So we're getting, and that's people that are just sending it in. I'm sure there's other people out there voting because I know I'm voting every day. And I have my girlfriend voting, and I have her brother voting every day, and I got everybody.
Did you
Nice.
conscript the children to start voting too?
I wish. Make them email addresses and vote for them.
Yeah.
Oh, I made Cinder an email address. I forgot about that.
Man,
gonna be
that's
podcast
so
man.
dirty.
Poweroverwhelming@gmail.com.
No. I made her an email address so I could send her updates. I made it to her while my wife was
On
pregnant.
herself?
And I'd send her updates on
Yeah,
what's
that's
going on
great.
with her pictures here and
Oh,
there. So
really?
when she's old enough, she can take a look at it. And
It's a time capsule.
I-
It's a
I-
stored
life.
time capsule.
That's
Yeah.
cute. I just really hope that service is around, like in 18 years or whatever.
Wow.
Right. Gmail. I'm going to email her and
that
say,
apocalypse
you
comes
voted
in.
for the podcast awards, by the way.
And we won it. Your
Yes.
daddy won it today.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be nice.
All right, guys, that's it. Hey, Punch, one last thing. Where's the gong?
It's over there. I have to go get it.
The Terminator killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Terminator.
Well, all right.
There's a story behind that.
I promise a gong on Monday then for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, the fans are clamoring for the opening of with the gong.
There will be gong.
All right, guys, that's episode number 244. Ding.
Thanks to Club.
That's episode
problem.
244 of the Trinity Force podcast. Thank you so much for sticking with us. As I said, we will make up that extra 10 minutes on Monday, guys. Peace. Have a good weekend.
See ya.